All right, good morning, guys. Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. I hope you guys are all ready to dive into it. Welcome in. Willie, Lance, Smoke Show Mari, Meta, good morning. Spliff's horned up. Spliff is horned up. He is here. That's crazy. Welcome in, everybody. I am doing well. I'm doing well this morning. I am excited to trade. I want something of substance today. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. I Yesterday's session was, just a gap and go, right? And it hasn't been the move. Or these gap and goes have not been the move for my system. I like those retests. I like those pullback retests. And if you just traded SPY yesterday, I think it was a pretty lackluster session. There were names across the board that I think were probably better. And I was doing some research this morning, and I was gonna say that we didn't get any retests yesterday, but we did get retests. There actually were a few that were quite nice, right? And we'll talk about it. And I have them on my main watch today, so let's see if we can get some continuation moves on these names. But we're going to talk about it, right? We're not going to throw the idea out yesterday of the pullback, right? Because I think the pullback on SPY is needed. It just hasn't been there yet, right? And so we're going to discuss that today, and we are going to have a big, beautiful pre-market session. All right. First of all, welcome in. It's Tuesday. We have 3 more trading days of October. 3 more. We have 3 more trading days of October. 3 more. Right? That means we have just a few more sessions before month's end. Okay? So let's dive right into it. We are going to have a beautiful pre-market session. Guys, yes, I actually just heard about that. If you guys are in Cuba or Jamaica, my thoughts and prayers are with you. I hope everything will be okay. But there is a huge storm on its way over. So I hope everyone who's there, if you have any family there, make sure you send them a message, right? Let them know. I mean, obviously they probably know. I'm sure they all know. But just let them know. Okay. All right, guys. Let's dive into it. Yesterday's session, we spent way too much time in indices. Today's session, we are going to spend probably. You can quote me. I'm going to put a timer. All right. I'm actually going to set a timer on my phone. As soon as I start doing indices, we have 4 minutes today for SPY and Qs, and then maybe another 5 minutes in total for SPY, Qs, and ES. Right? That's my timer. I can't go beyond that. Right? If I start going beyond that, then I'm going to I have to cut myself off. Right? All right. Let's go on. So a lot of things happen here pre-market. Obviously, market moving higher. What the hell is going on? We talked about what yesterday? We said, guys, look for the gap fill yesterday. Question mark, where the hell is the gap fill, right? No gap fill. We just ripped and rallied, right? So no gap fill. And what is this reminiscent of, right? What are we surprised here? Are we sitting here dumbfounded, wondering why the market didn't pull back? Not really, because this Monday price action was reminiscent of the price action on that Friday session, right? Where you might have got some cute little rejections off of your supply zones, right? But at the end of the day, it just rallied higher, right? Now, granted, I don't think that means that we just do this. I don't think it does. I think eventually at some point you want us to pull back to here. Now, does this mean that you short everything? No, it means that you wait for either a failure to come in, or you wait for the big demand below, which is our main watch, which would be if we got that demand test back into the Friday's high. So we'll talk about that today here in SPY. Let's move on. We'll go over Qs. QQQ will be a fun one to talk about today because we're 630 psych level. We are going to go over AMD. The AMD of the AMD. Okay, AMD yesterday was a 253 demand hold. Now, I didn't trade this. I actually spoke about this in the pre-market session. And if you look at this chart right now at the 253, you'd say, well, Brett, damn, you should have traded the 253 yesterday. If I traded 253 yesterday, I would have gotten slapped. Okay. The reason why is because look at the price action yesterday. Look at what it did. It actually confirmed off the 253 here for upside and failed back below. I would have absolutely gotten stopped right there on that trade, and I would have sat there feeling like a fool. So even though this looks really good in 1 hour, on the 5 minute, it actually was not quite so simple, right? So interesting chart here. We'll talk about this chart today being one of the watches. It's still one of the top watches today. We'll go over Apple, one of the top watches today. Apple, I think, one of the big names to watch for today's session. 265 break and retest yesterday. We'll go over Amazon. Amazon main watch as well. 228 and 225 big levels. We'll go over Meta. Surprisingly, Meta has a chart that I can understand here, right? And I think you guys are going to know what I'm going to say, right? Look at the 741s. This is a nice level that we've created here, and we're going to watch this for an entry today, okay? 741 here on this chart. And Tesla, obviously, Tesla was the name that was a bear bias, now back to a bull bias. So let's talk about Tesla going into our pre-market session. Guys, welcome in. It's 8:39. Let's dive into this for a second. Quickly, what I want to do is I want to talk about the earnings reports for today's session and econ data. You guys all know on the econ side today, it becomes more important, right? We have our FOMC meeting beginning today. It's closed door, meaning we don't know what's happening on the FOMC side. We will know tomorrow what these guys talk about, right? So today they're meeting up, blah, 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 right? Tomorrow they're meeting and they're gonna actually give an announcement, which will consist of an FOMC announcement. And it's also gonna consist of a Fed chair press conference where Jerome Powell is answering questions and getting grilled. So obviously big session tomorrow. Tomorrow is the biggest session of the week. And it makes sense that Monday and Tuesday are a little bit lackluster on the indices. Now, just because it's lackluster on the indices doesn't mean you can't find value on individual names. And I think, transparently, that's where I went wrong on Monday, right? Yesterday's session, I probably should have focused on the individual names rather than the lackluster indices because, again, Monday, Tuesday, consolidation day in indices, maybe a little slow grind, zombie grind, but then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's when you can get the real big moves happening on these indexes. So, again, consumer conference, 10 o'clock today. That's the big thing that we have for us on the economic data, right? Earnings docket. Here on the earnings docket, you have PYPL and UPS. Mike, it's an official statement from Mike. Mike is all horned up right now. He's crazy. He's got the PYPL equity and the swing on the small account. Small account is now no longer so small. That's a big, beautiful trade here. I love it. That's an absolutely beautiful trade. If you guys are in PayPal, we'll talk a little bit about this today, about where the next level is, and you guys know where it is. It's where we're at right now. All right. So it's kind of interesting because this chart has erased the big downside prior to earnings. It has now erased it on an equal magnitude move up higher. And I think you guys know what we're going to say here in PayPal. We'll go over that in a second. Okay. Besides that, today's session, you have for our Tuesday after hours, you have Enphase, ENPH. You have Visa V, right? You have Verizon in the pre-market tomorrow. You have BA in the pre-market tomorrow. You have CVS in the pre-market tomorrow. You have Meta in the after hours tomorrow. Microsoft, Google. I mean, it's a really big session. And Starbucks, spooky Starbucks in the after hours. So some big things happening going into Wednesday. Really is a colossal session, right? So let's move on, guys. Where's the energy? I'm the only one here with energy. Everybody's still sleeping. It's 8:42. Where's the energy? SPY. Okay. SPY. On the SPY chart, what did we say? I have 5 minutes, by the way. I have 5 minutes to go through this. Okay, so it's 8:42. I have to be done by 8:47 and change. On the SPY chart yesterday, we discussed the idea of our demand zone below 682. This is the pre-market low and demand below, and we had supply above us around the 684s. I shorted the 684s for a downside move. I got some move into 682, 683s, made a little 10, 15%er. And then what happened? Bam, right? Hey, almost reminiscent of Friday's session, right? Basically, a little bit of acute rejection off of demand, but ultimately a rally higher. And yesterday's session was that. It was simply just that. It was a maintenance above our demand zone and a grind higher in a supply, rejections off supply. You could have made money off supply rejections yesterday. You could have made money off the rejections of our supply zone. But again, what taps so many times eventually is going to break, right? And you saw yesterday's session, the taps of resistance, right? You could have shorted the supply here, you could have shorted the supply here, maybe even here, but eventually at some point it's going to break and the market does rally higher. So this is what happened yesterday, right? And at some point you have to ask yourself, when do you stop going again? When does the level no longer become a tradable level? And for me, I'll tell you this right now. You want the honest answer? It's probably after 2 taps, right? 2 taps that's it, right? 2 taps, that's it. So for here to here, at that point, you kind of have to wrap up and say, you know what? Maybe this is the wrong idea, right? Maybe this is the wrong idea. Maybe the market's going to rally higher, and it did, right? That was in summation what happened yesterday's session. Now today's session, Jamar, thank you, absolutely much appreciated, Jamar. Thank you very much, Jamar. Also, Burmy Trader and Jamar, thank you both. That is much appreciated. You guys are incredible. Much appreciated to you too. Thank you for doing that. That'll pay for my coffee, even though I make my own coffee at home. But I'll pretend like I bought this. All right. Thank you guys. So obviously, right, market moved higher yesterday, and today's session, what's it all about? Obviously, right, we're just in no man's land, right? We're still on an island. And am I going to tell you, what am I going to say here, right? Am I going to say that we should just keep buying longs into every push higher? No, I'm not going to say that. I don't want to buy longs as a break and retest trader. If you trade a break and retest strategy, you trade levels, right? You must wait for some sort of pullback, right? Some sort of retracement to your demand zone. And my retracement level is going to be looking for this to happen, right? If I see us pull back to the 678s, I'm looking for longs off this market, right? That's what it is. That's where I want to see pullbacks. So looking for that today is my main watch if it does happen. But in the meanwhile, in the meantime, I can still look for shorts under 684. If we break under 684, I can look for a move into 682. But again, this is where people will lose money, right? If you try to short the 684 failure today and you hold full port into 682, thinking we're going to go back lower, you don't take profit and the market does this, and then you're like, wow, damn, right? That sucks. Well, it does suck, right? You have to understand that the market is still in this big uptrend, right? So it's either you wait for a pullback long or you surgically short the highs. And surgically shorting the highs is one of the most difficult things to do as a trader. So obviously be careful of that. Big levels below us, 682, 678, and 684, okay? 684 failure, we go down lower, but of course, 682, that's the real gap fill area. 682 break, then back into 678. This is your main demand below, right? On the ES chart, what is it all about today? It's very simple, guys. Look, it's all about 6900 ES, right? The 6900 ES level lines up with approximately 684, above bull, below bear. Right now, we are just strong, right? This chart is strong. The chart's maintaining. You have a level here around the 68, 66, which is our gap fill level. But of course, even if you short back below 6900 ES, then you know where we're going to. We're going back into here. But the question is, do we break here, right? And we don't know if it's going to break yet. It may just hold and do that, right? So be careful of shorting back into the demand zones below. That's been the thing yesterday. If you shorted SPY yesterday at any moment, you could have shorted any push higher in SPY, but you had to be a profit taker at demand below, right? You couldn't have been short here and here and here into the PM lows, because if you did, that's where you really lost the money. It was only the shorts and the highs that gave you the value, right? So obviously that makes sense. But today's session here in the ES chart, I'll be aware of that going into this chart, okay? On the QQQ chart, we're almost over time. I have a minute here, okay? On the Qs, psychological level here, 630. That's your big level here on the Qs. My demand zone below is 623. My supply above 630. This is a psychological level, right? It's not really a full level yet, but it's where we're opening at here in the pre-market session. So 630 is your big supply zone. 623 is your big demand zone. If you see us sell off today like this, you have to understand that this is still demand below, okay? Now, granted, if you fail back below the yesterday's low, the pre-market low, you get the gap fill back into the 618s. But as of right now, we are still just maintaining and holding structure here, right? So if you're looking for anything, look for the 630 supply, or if you lose, there's a small level here, right? You can go back to yesterday's highs, right? Yesterday's highs on the Qs were where? Where was that level? It was around 628.50. This is a smaller intraday level here, right? But you do have a small level here at the PDH, right? 628.50, and in SPY, the PDH would be that 685.50. But for me, that's not the big zone. The big zone is at 684 from yesterday. So I know not to be short into 684 and not to be short into that not to be short into 628.50, right? Those are the two things I would say about QQQ and SPY and ES going into our pre-market, okay? So that's what it is today on SPY, Qs, and ES. In summation, it's basically the same thing as it was yesterday. If you're shorting, surgically short the highs. Don't short back into demand. If you lose demand, look for the gap fill. Okay, that's what it is. That's all it is. Nothing's changed from yesterday to today, right? So I went 2 minutes over, so I did not do that well. I did not do that well, but that's fine. Let's go on. So let's go over some tickers today. Let's start off with the first ticker of today's session. Let's start off with Apple, okay? On the Apple chart, Apple was a beautiful break and retest at 265. And this is what I was saying was we did have some pullbacks, right? There were some trades yesterday that provided value, okay, on the break and retest. And this was one of the names that I wasn't fully focused on, right? I was focused on AMD, looking for AMD executions. But I really should have been focused on Apple because Apple actually gave you one of the best break and retest yesterday's session. In fact, it did it multiple times. Okay, we had a nice level here in the pre-market. We spoke about the 265 level, right, being your big spot on Apple. And the reason why was because we produced a triple top high here. Okay, and then once we produced that triple top high, we knew that if we got the breakout and the retest of that 265, you can go long there, right? So yesterday's session was all about this: 265 break, retest, upside move, right? Now, there was value all day. You could have long it multiple times. But today's session, where's the value? Well, the value today is going to be in one of two places. The first thing I'm still watching is going to be, do we get that deeper pullback into 265? Because if we get that 265 pullback, I'm looking for longs just where we were retraced off yesterday, right? So that's my top watch today, would be that sort of retracement into my demand, and I'll look for longs right there, okay? Simply just like that, okay? This would also be the Friday highs. This would be the 265 demand hold yesterday that we saw in the early morning, okay? So looking for that as my top watch. The second watch I'd be looking for today's session would be a little bit of a higher risk one. It's definitely higher risk, but you can see right here the previous all-time highs around 267, which was the yesterday's high right before the big breakout into close. I would also look for a higher risk retracement here, right? So either this to 267 or this to 265, and those are my top watches, okay? If we lose the Friday highs, I no longer am interested in going long anymore, right? This is my bull bear pivot. So look for retracements into the PDH, which would be, I would consider this PDH, even though it's not PDH, but it's the Monday high, it's the Monday early morning high, okay? So the 267 level retracement or the 265 retracement, those are two things I'm watching for going into my my morning here. And this is one of my top watches going into Apple, okay? Next chart, guys. I know, trust me, we'll go over PayPal, we'll go over TTD, Google, we'll go over as much as we can today, okay? Amazon. So Amazon chart also kind of similar to our Apple, right? But this chart, I'm only watching one of two things. I'm watching the 225 today, right? Now, this is actually my main watch going into my pre-market yesterday. And little scummy, little scammy candle. It gave you a little bit of a pullback yesterday on that, almost like a news candle, right? This was your pullback long yesterday. Unfortunately, who's trading this? I wasn't, right? I was not trading this anymore. I walked away for the session, so it kind of was annoying to have that little end of day sell off right into demand, giving you the long entry right there at almost 30 minutes to the market close. So definitely frustrating here, right? But today's session, this chart is still. Someone said, Dequan W, please go over things people are actually asking for. I'm going over the things that I am watching. So transparently, right? You can open your door and walk out of your room. I'm not going over what you were asking, right? I'll go over what I'm doing first because that's why you guys are all here. Then I'll go over the names that you guys are watching afterwards. So just let me do my thing, and then we'll go over the stuff you guys are watching. But that was a very, very, very very bad comment, to be honest. That was probably one of the dumbest things I've seen all morning. That you know what? That is the dumbest thing. I haven't seen that much that morning, so that was actually quite good. Okay, so Amazon 225. 225. That's my main watch today. Obviously above bull, below bear. I'm watching for a flash sell today into my demand zone below, looking for longs there. That's what I'm watching. Okay. Next ticker. All right. Let's go over Meta. On the Meta chart, I don't usually watch Meta, but Meta is one that yesterday's session in the big Monday gap up, right? Guys, it's way too early for this, right? It's way too early for dumb comments. But I love it though. You know what? As the stream grows, we're gonna get comments like that. So trust me, it's not gonna be the first. It's not gonna be the last, right? We're gonna get people like that all the time. People are gonna say, Brett, why are you watching longs in this? We should be watching shorts. Why are you watching shorts? This we watching longs. Trust me, this is what happens. The natural growth of everything means you're gonna get some people here that are just. This is our stream, right? We go through the same thing every single time. We almost go through the same amount of tickers every single session, right? We'll go over all the other ones later, okay? Meta 741, top watch. Why is it top watch? Because big gap up on the Monday session, right? Over big supply. If we do sell off, and again, there's a lot of, the issue with today's session is there are a lot of pullbacks to watch. And you have to pick and choose which one you really want to focus on. Now, if you are a meta trader, then this is your top watch, right? Is a 741 pullback long. So I'm not a big meta trader. You guys know that. But I would set an alert here, okay? If we do get that pullback into my demand zone, I'm looking for pullbacks into demand. 741 is my main watch today. Granted, right? This is a chart I don't usually trade, but if you guys are trading meta, trade this, right? 741 pullback long. Likewise, also the 755 build, you can see we have the highs from our Monday session now. And you can see it is an important level. It's an important pivot from historical data. You can see there are a lot of wick reactions here. You can see reactions. So watch the 755 for a build. If we do build over 755, upside into 761, right? So a little bit of upside there, or watch the pullback long into our demand zone below. So either this or it's either this. Those are your two watches for today's session on the meta chart, okay? All right. Let's take a second. Let's take a second. Nvidia. Let's go over some chips now. Nvidia. So on the Nvidia chart, I can't get over. I keep thinking about that guy's comment. It's just so funny, right? Like the cojones to come into someone else's stream, go over things that people that you gotta have balls. You gotta really have balls. 8:55 in the morning, right? Wow, that is crazy. That is so crazy. All right, 190 hold yesterday. This was actually one of Rab's trades yesterday, and I gotta give credit to him on this one. This was actually a really nice trade. Okay, and the reason why was because this was a win-win, right? You had your 190 level of resistance here, right? We saw us basically gap up, we fell back below, reclaim above, upside move. So nice chart, right? Really nice chart, 190 holding, and you can see now at this point, as long as you're over 190, you're bullish. So any dip into 190, look for longs. If you fail back below 190, we're going into 184. So at this point, you know what it is here on Nvidia. It's going to be the 190s as your pullback long. Look for 190 pullback long. If we're above bull, if we're below bear. But that's what I'd be watching this morning, is to see if we can get that flash sell in the 190s. Maybe look for something like this today. Maybe look for a little bit of a flash sell under 190, reclaim, upside move back into 195s. I would watch that, right? And again, the reason why is because this chart is strong as long as it maintains above these previous sets of highs. Look how important this is. This is something that we didn't discuss as much as we should have yesterday, right? Look how important 190 is. You can see 190, 190, 190, and yesterday, what was it about? It was the wham under 190. Today's session, we are above 190. Where should we be going to? As long as we are above 190, we should be going back into these set of highs here at 195. So ultimately, I think that's what we're going to. We're going to go there. And the question is, does it give you another opportunity back at demand below into the 190s, right? If it does, that's your long entry. And if it does this today, right? If it just does this today, just grinds higher, then there is no opportunity for longs. In fact, it just goes in the highs here. And you have to understand that even though it does that, you can't catch this, right? It's just simply going to grind higher. So again, watch for a move into 195. If you want to catch it on trend, you can do it. But it's probably going to be a little bit difficult, right? The best trade, I think, is going to be the 190 pullback. You also have a PDH, though. If you want to do the PDH, you could get frothy, right? You could get frothy and do the PDH 192. But again, that is frothy, right? That is a little bit of a riskier trade because the issue is this. If you trade the 192 today, right, and you could stop that one to 192, you can't just be done with this chart. You have to watch the 190 for a pullback long retest. So you can watch both today. In fact, I might do this, right? I may actually add this to my watches this morning, is the 192 pullback long. All right, so keep that in the back burner, guys. 192 pullback long or 190 pullback long for upside, okay? Let's move on, guys. Let's move on. Let's go over a few more. Let's go over a few more. Let's go over AMD. Okay, AMD's chart 253 pullback long yesterday was perfect, right? This is what we spoke about pre-market. Big, beautiful trade there, but of course on the 1 hour it looks like that, but in the 5 minute was a little bit frothy, right? Was a little bit spicy. It broke down underneath it, reclaimed above, upside now. Now, where is AMD going this morning? Well, here's what I would do in AMD. Okay, the first thing that I would do in AMD is I would still watch the demand zone below around the 244s. If you do pull back to 244 today, this is a top watch, high conviction long entry there. I know it's far away, but I would trade that. Okay, the 243s for a pullback long. If you do trade back into that zone, I'm looking for longs there at the 243s. Okay, so that's my main long spot today's session. It's far away though, right? I'm talking about a demand zone. That's how far away is this at this moment, right? We are at this moment we are $15 away from the demand I'm just talking about, right? So this is not something that I'm asking for a 6% equity sell here for us to get that 243 to 244. So is it of any meaning to say that here in the pre-market? I don't think it is. So even though I am watching that for a main watch, like if this does happen, I would trade it. You can see how beautiful it is. You have demand pent up over here. So if we do pull back there, it's a long spot. But where can we trade AMD now? At this moment, it's hard to get behind this, right? You can see that yesterday's session was all about this, which is what I liked yesterday. Today's session, it already did that, right? So I would no longer be interested in going long at the 253s anymore. It would have to be above the 260s. So either a 260 build here, which would be your break and retest now for upside, or the deeper pullback to your 243s. So keep that on your watch. I know it's a little bit far-fetched, this demand zone below, but this is not far-fetched. The 260 break and hold is not far-fetched. This is still a long entry, and this is still a nice squeezer move back into the next level of resistance. Okay, so let's watch that for trades today. Okay, right. Let's move on. Joshua Garrison, thank you, man. That is much appreciated. What do you think about Meta 2 weeks out long? I think that if you long Meta 2 weeks out, you're fine, right? As long as you're above, as long as you have a stop under these set of highs, right? Then you are absolutely okay. Okay, I would try to get a better entry on a dip, right, into that. And I'd look for us to push back into the all-time highs, right? That's what I would do here on the Meta chart. But I do agree with you, right? This is a chart that you can get behind. Why? Because it's not at all-time highs, right? It's a little bit below it. So you can trade this back into the all-time highs for a nice scalp trade higher. Guys, why is my head so big? Nobody told me. Big head Brett, right? Let's fix that. Bam, there we go. Okay, let's go over a few more. We have some time. Let's see. What is hold on. What does Daquan want us to review? Which ticker did he want us to review? We got to make sure that we got to avoid all those tickers. Now I'm being the toxic. Now I'm the toxic one. Now I've turned into the I'm the villain. I'm a villain. Don't feel bad. I'm a villain, guys. You guys don't understand. I'm an absolute villain. You guys know that. All right, AVGO, AVGO. Okay, AVGO. All right, AVGO. This was an interesting chart. I know you guys are gonna troll me, right? But I think this is interesting, and the reason why is because I like this. Go to the 5 minute, right, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So yesterday was a dip and rip into that 355. Now it maintained demand yesterday. Now today's session, as long as it's holding above this 360 area, right, 358 to 360 area, I like it for a dip and rip today. So I would keep this on the side watch. To be honest, it's not really a main watch. But if we do get a dip and rip here, 260 or 360, I look for longs, right? This is not really. I mean, to be honest, I'm looking at this more and more. There are probably some better names to trade, but you can see this level here, right? You see the 360s, right? You can see demand, right? If we get a dip and rip, right, a little bit of a dip under the 360 and a reclaim, I'll look for longs back into the 370s. So that's the only thing to watch here on this chart is if we are above the 358 to 360 zone, look for a dip and rip back in 370. Okay, that's all I have here on the AVGO chart, right? Palantir, Palantir 188. What did we say yesterday, right? Very simply, it was the 188s. So I hope this is the issue, right? Is I hope you guys did not go short in 188. That was the big thing. You can see 188, even pre-market 188. If we're above 188, bullish, below 188, bearish. So that's your new thing. That's your new big watch this morning. Is going to be, are we above or below the 188s? Very simple chart here on that Palantir chart. Okay, Tesla. So what did we say yesterday about Tesla? We spoke about Tesla relative weakness. We spoke about Tesla gap down while the overall market was gapping up. We said watch for Tesla shorts at the 445. Okay. Now, what happened yesterday at the 445? Look at Tesla. Okay. Look at Tesla. Tesla 445. You can see 445 failure, right? Nice downside, and then oh shit, right back above. Reclaim, retention, upside. So yesterday's session was. Yes, you saw some rejections at the 445. You saw some rejections off the 445. You saw some decent downside moves off 445, but it wasn't of substance. In fact, we ended up reclaiming that. I almost showed this yesterday too, right? We ended up reclaiming the 445s, and then we saw upside back in highs. Now, Tesla is actually a name that you can watch today. And the reason why is because as long as it's above these previous sets of highs here, you can see the previous demand here. You can see the previous supply, which is now turned into demand. You can look for longs back into the 480s. So I would keep this in the watch this morning is going to be, do we maintain above the 450s today? Because if we do, this is your classic break, retest, upside move. This should... There are a few things to be in your top watch today, and I think Tesla could be one of them, right? Tesla is going to be one of mine, right? If we are above the 450s, look for longs on that break and retest higher into 480s, right? And of course, obviously, if we lose the 445, then we are donkeys, right? And we're going to fail back lower. So 445 is your bull bear pivot, but if you're looking for the break and retest, look for the 450 to turn into support for the upside move. I'm watching this today because again, this is a channel high break. Let's not confuse this. This is a channel high break here on Tesla. Let's look to see if this can maintain above the 450s, right? What's going on? Did we get news? I don't see anything. Did we get news? SPY? No, this is just we're just in an all-time high market, right? Not news, just an all-time high market. Okay. PayPal. Excuse me. PayPal chart. So, what's going on? All right, let's remain unbiased here for a second. Can we just remain unbiased? Don't get mad, right? Don't get upset. Don't get mad. Don't get upset. Just look at the chart, okay? Don't get mad. Don't get upset. Just look at the chart. Daily time frame. Where are we? Okay, where were we the last time we had big earnings here? Right, the last time we had big earnings, we were where? We were right here. Okay, that was the last earnings session, last quarter, July 28th, 2025, okay? Now this morning is Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. And where are we rejecting? Well, we seem to be rejecting around the same area we were rejecting last time, right? You may disagree with me here, right? But you say, well, Brett, we're rejecting off the 82.6s, right? So you're wrong about that. But we're not wrong, right? Look at the chart here. You're going to see, look at the reactions coming in around 80. You can see 80 is that supply zone. You can see 80 is turning into supply here. So the one thing we have to understand this morning is if you were along anywhere in this chart, if you were along down here, down there, over here, over there, you have to be a profit taker in the 80s. Okay, the 80s is a profit taking zone because that's the last time it failed, and it failed aggressively, right? Obviously, if we can get back above 80, on this type of move, right? This is a new upside trade, and we can begin to fill the trade back into the 92s, right? So right now, you have to understand you need to be a profit taker today on PayPal, right? That's the first and foremost, be a profit taker today, because this is a big push into supply after a major earnings move down back last quarter. So look for this to obviously trim into this level, and if you do get back above the 80s, look for a re-entry, right? Look for a re-entry, look for a move higher back into the 92s. So again, be a profit taker into 80s. If we do clear 80, then upside back in highs, right? And remained unbiased. That was just an unbiased review here. Nothing else, but this was a beautiful long trade in the highs. You guys absolutely killed that trade. So you guys should be proud of yourselves, okay? Microsoft. Microsoft is getting news here. Prior to earnings, I don't trust it, okay? You know, look, I don't trust it. All right? I don't like that. We should not be getting these big pops before earnings. That usually is indicative of something else. What's going on here? I don't know what the news is. It's probably some sort of news, right? What's going on here? What the hell's going on here? OpenAI to offer ChatGPT to go free for a year in India. That's the news. It's interesting though, right? It's because they're probably trying to build a community in India. But Microsoft OpenAI reached a new deal to allow OpenAI to restructure. Okay, so this is OpenAI news. So basically, OpenAI news impacting Microsoft here. So obviously, some interesting things happening here on Microsoft, but it's not something I would get behind. Okay, the reason why is because you have the big E tomorrow, or sorry, the big E today, right? Tomorrow, the big E's tomorrow, right? Do you trust a big upside move like this with the big E tomorrow? Look, maybe you do, right? And you can try it. But for me, the big E's tomorrow, I think there are some other names to watch out for today's session that look better, right? Look at Tesla. Look at Tesla channel break, right? Tesla channel break, that's the one to watch today. Look at Amazon, right? Look at Apple, the big strong names. We have the big E tomorrow, Microsoft. This is a firework in the sky. I would be careful. Okay, again, do your thing, but I would be careful here. Big E tomorrow, right? Let's move on. Let's go over one more name. Guys. I know it's late. It's 9:09. You know what? Last one. We'll do one more. What's the general consensus here? Let's do SoFi. Wait, do we have earnings on? No, do we have earnings on Apple tomorrow? Yeah, we do have earnings tomorrow. We do have earnings. We do on Thursday. We have earnings on Thursday. I love this chart though. I love this chart. You know what? It's true though. It is true. All right, let's do one last one. Let's do. Rick has been asking for EMPH all morning. I'm going to do that last one for him. Rick has been politely asking for EMPH all morning. Let's go over this one, right? So guys, last ticker today's session, unfortunately, does not look too good. Okay, but you can see here it's in consolidation. I mean, look, if you're asking about EMPH, you're probably looking for an equity buy here, right? You're looking for an against the grain equity buy, right? And I do agree. Like when you have moments like this on strong companies, this is where you look for those equity buys. The question is, I don't know the financials here on EMPH. I'd have to look into this, but this could be one to watch. I'm gonna look at this today because I would be interested to see because this is the spot, right? It's actually right here. The spot's right here. This is the where, right? Now we don't have the why yet. The why we don't have. The why is why are we buying this stock? Do we buy it because we like the fundamentals? If you have the why, then you need the where, and the where is right here. We have the where. The where is 35, so I would buy it here at 35. If I wanted to buy EMPH, I'd buy it at 35. So I have the where. I just don't have the why right now. So 35 is your big spot, right? I would look for buys at 35 with a stop loss under 33. And maybe even under 30, right? A stop loss under 30 would be even smarter just to have a little bit of a larger risk here. But the reason why is because if you do get the right move on this, you're getting it back into the 60s, right? This could be a solid equity risk reward trade here on EMPH. But this is actually a nice one. Rick, this is a good chart to watch for a long-term trade. I'm going to look into this myself. Guys, thank you all for joining in. Much appreciated. I hope you guys all have a beautiful and happy Tuesday. Trade safe, trade smart, do the right thing, and I'll see you guys all on live. Bye, guys.